Well, hello, everybody. My name is Chris Wehman, live here from Ringgold, Georgia. I model in N Scale, of course, Norfolk Southern and CSX. I call it the Heartland Division. And it's kind of a combination of both the Midwestern and the Southeast because I'm originally from the Midwest, but live down south now. So I get to kind of enjoy both, a little bit of both here. We're heavy on operations in the layout. We have a lot of operating sessions, so it's a ton of fun. Obviously, we're a little light on scenery right now, but that will be changing if you're going to have the opportunity to come to Chattanooga in a couple of years for the NMRA convention. There may be an opportunity for you to see the layout with a little more scenery by then, hopefully. So I'm excited to be here. We've got a lot of fun trains to run, and usually every Tuesday night we have a train night. So there's always people over running model trains. So, I had heard a lot of really good things about Scale trains from before I even saw their equipment, and I think I saw, one of the train shows, saw some of the pre-production runs of various N Scale locomotives and freight cars, and I thought, wow, these look really great. So I got a couple of the Tier 4 Gevos, and they've been great ever since I've had them. They're fantastic runners. You cannot beat the detail on Scale trains equipment. Originally, when I first got them, I had locomotives without sound, but then after a few more sound locomotives showed up on the railroad, I realized that I really like sound, so I actually traded some stuff around and bought a couple more locomotives that have sound, and now I'm 100% sound on everything I get. Yeah, I definitely think it could, and we've already seen that because we've seen some of the other manufacturers in N Scale kind of step up their game with as far as the details concerned. I mean, Scale Trains definitely has that cornered right now as far as the detail and just the realism, and not only that, but the focus on making sure locomotives match the prototype. I mean, we've got locomotives, which we'll probably see here in a few minutes, that were built for, one railroad like CSX or Norfolk Southern or the Southern Railway with the high nose units. I mean, very unique. And one thing I really like is, and even in N Scale, even these very small locomotives are really faithful to the prototype. So I really like that. Even when you get the locomotives out of the box, the horns are correct. I mean, that's assuming they're sound units. I mean, they sound right, they look right, and I definitely think they've got the leg up as far as the competition is concerned. Yeah, I've purchased quite a few. I've got, started with the Tier 4 Gevos. I have a couple of Dash 9s, Norfolk Southern. Of course, pretty much everything you're going to see in the layout is Norfolk Southern or CSX. We got a little bit of foreign power mixed up in there, but most of the things I buy are kind of devoted to those two railroads. I've got a C39-8, I've got 3 Tier 4 Gevos. Trying to think of what else I've got. I know I've got quite a few that are still pre-ordered as well. And everything's been really good. I mean, I've been very pleased. I've had no issues, and I know, if something does come up, Scale Trains is really good with addressing it quickly and handling it. And that's one thing I really love about the company. I have a Norfolk Southern SD40-2 or SD40-3, I guess they would call it, and a CSX SD40-3, and they're both fantastic. Again, like I mentioned before, both of those units were rebuilds, so they have special cabs and some other details that were specific to the railroad when they went through the rebuild program. So I just love seeing how faithful those models are to the prototype. I mean, that's, to me, what I like most about those particular models is they have those unique cabs, the Admiral cab, and then the whatever we call it on CSX, the SpongeBob cab or whatever model railroaders call it. But I just love how they look in N Scale because they really look just like the real thing. I started out in HO scale, switched to N about 20 years ago when I was in college. And one thing I really like about N Scale, especially if you're a modern modeler, which, there's folks that model N Scale at all different eras, but, equipment's big. And in N Scale, you can have a lot more in less space. So let's say you don't have, but you have a wall in a bedroom, you can do a switching layout, or even this layout, which is, moderate in size, big for N Scale, but would be pretty small on HO. I just love that you can fit so much in space and in a small space, excuse me. And I like that the scenery dwarfs the train. So obviously don't have that yet, but let's say you have some mountain scenery or a city scene. The trains look more appropriate to the landscape around them because they're smaller. So that's the big thing I like about it. And now the market's so good in N Scale, the availability is so good. You can find almost everything that you would ever want to find in N that you could in HO. The equipment runs really well. There's good track. You know, DCC works, or DC if you want to do that. I mean, there's a lot of good structure kits available, and there's more coming out all the time. So it's just really great to have almost an unlimited amount of products at your disposal. So I'm obviously in, excuse me, in Team N Scale, but you know, I can see why somebody would want to do HO, but you know, N Scale definitely is the leader around here. That's what we run. The sound quality I've seen it evolve. So if you take, you know, an engine from 6 or 7 years ago, maybe one of the early runs, which still has really good sound, but I've definitely seen it continue to evolve. The quality and the crispness of the sound has improved, and I'm really excited to see that. Kind of that develop even in N scale. You know, the speakers are getting better and more crisp, and the sound coming out of these, the volume of the sound is up as well.